Attorney General, subject, fighting the federal death penalty and lifting the moratorium on federal executions.
Usually I tell you all to stay calm and not freak out.
No, this is not true. So this is a first for me. I'm fact checking 2 creators in one. Andrew's video came across my FYP because I've followed her for a while, and she was basically boosting the original creator's video, which has gotten a lot of attention. Both have. But there's some fundamental information being spread that's incorrect. And I'm not saying this in the, oh, calm down and trust the administration kind of way. I'm all about ringing alarms. Most recently, people got really upset with me for calling Guantanamo Bay a concentration camp and warning that it would not just be used for violent criminals. But there are basic facts being misstated here, and I think it's important to correct them. People should be worried, but about real things. So I actually already made a video about this memo because I was getting questions about it, and now I understand why. So number one, this may seem minor, but it's so basic that, like, if you can't get this right, that should be a red flag. The memo was not leaked. It was published by the Justice Department on their website. Respectfully, I don't know why Renegade was reading such a bad printout of it. If she had just Googled the name of the memo, she would have found it on the Justice Department website, just like everyone else, including Andra. And here's just one law journal that confirms that it was released with 13 other memos on the 5th. This may not seem like a big deal, but it seems like Renegade didn't even Google the memo. And there's a reason that it was published so publicly, and that's because it doesn't do what Renegade claims it does. Don't get me wrong, this administration has absolutely no shame, but we'll get to that. And look, when I read the memo, because I was asked by someone like what it meant, I saw immediately that it wasn't doing what a lot of people on the internet are claiming it's doing. But just now, when I was looking it up again to make this, I saw that there's also an article in KGW confirming, no, it does not authorize the death penalty for being an undocumented immigrant. Just in case you don't trust my read on it. But let me show you the document, which I urge you all to look up.
Then goes on to talk about how at some point the United States lost their way and stopped using the death penalty.
So the moratorium that she's talking about that's mentioned in the memo, you can look it up very easily. It was put in place July 2nd, 2021 by Biden's AG. Under Trump, capital punishment continued as usual. Under Biden, it was basically all paused. And then in the last few months of his term, you may remember, he commuted the sentences of everyone on row. So basically the purpose of this memo primarily is to suspend the moratorium and just like bring it back. It's perfectly legal. The moratorium was issued by the AG. It is now being suspended by the AG. No laws have changed with regards to this in the meantime. So that's what Section 1 is about. And then Section 2 is about the cases in which they will seek it. Here's something fundamental you got to understand about our country. Laws are written in Congress. That includes laws around capital crime, okay? And that's why a lot of these executive orders that are being issued are kind of a big deal, and that's also why they're being challenged in courts, so far quite successfully, I might add. A memo does not establish what is a crime. Neither does an executive order, by the way. So neither a memo nor an executive order can decide what is a capital crime, okay? Just gotta make that completely clear. And here's the thing, not only is that the law, but the memo reaffirms this itself. Right at the top of Section 2, it says that the department, including the U.S. Attorney's offices, shall seek the penalty if that is a penalty prescribed by Congress, okay? And then this Oxford comma they claim includes, quote, aliens who traverse our borders and remain in the United States without legal status as its own capital crime. That's not what it's doing. I'm so sorry, it's not what it's doing. It specifically says capital crimes by, and then it lists everyone. And you may ask why they're specifying these groups of people. So basically, when a prosecutor has a capital crime case, it's kind of up to them whether or not they want to pursue the capital penalty, because it can be a lot harder to get and a lot more expensive for the government. But also, it can be used as a negotiation tool. If you say like, hey, capital punishment's on the table, will you take a deal for life in prison, whatever. So basically, the guidance they're issuing for their department is that from now on, prosecutors who have a capital case are to pursue capital punishment, including and especially with regards to those groups of people. Is that messed up? Absolutely. But does it make being an undocumented immigrant a capital crime? Absolutely not. The crime still has to be a capital crime. Now, am I trying to say that they're not trying to head towards that? Absolutely not. I am incredibly concerned about everything they're doing with regards to immigrants. For example, you might remember he just signed the Lake and Riley Act, which allows and in fact mandates the federal government to imprison migrants even just suspected of a crime indefinitely. And that is concerning. But you know what the good news is? That was still a law that was passed by Congress. Congress is still in charge of designating what is a crime. In fact, they're trying to make abortion a capital crime, which also terrible news, But good news that they're trying to do it through Congress, I guess. I realize it's meager comfort, but it should be a comfort that they are still respecting that that is Congress's role. Will that change? Probably. He's already trying to take the power of the purse away. I would not be surprised if he tries to take this power away too and turn it into his own. But find comfort in what is still working. And am I saying that they're not going to eventually try to legalize what these creators claimed they just did? No. Predict away. I see things going in the same sort of direction. But let's please be accurate in the actual information. Number one, because we got plenty of real stuff to freak out about. And number two, because if we as a population act as though they can write the law like that, we are giving them that power. Do not comply in advance. And for the love of God, please Google and fact check next time, guys.